believe me, they did not laugh and applaud at the time. Lots of letters of complaint to the bishop on that occasion, saying that it was sacrilegious. And these weren't from Christians, these were from militant Elvis fans. So I had to write them this grovelling letter of apology. I said, "Dear Elvis fans, maybe I didn't treat you quite as well as I should have." You may have noticed I can sing a bit. Most vicars can, which is fortunate because quite often we're the only ones that actually know the words. I was actually in a rock band back in the day. I don't know if you can believe that. Well, I've got a picture of me from that era to prove it. Would you like to see it? Yeah. Funny enough, this picture was actually taken in Cambridge. Okay. So that's me with the red hair when I was the lead singer of Satan's Bitches. This is before I became a Christian, obviously. As you can imagine, this all made for quite an embarrassing conversation when I went for my interview to become a vicar. And I'll never forget because the bishop had Googled me. And I went, "I've been looking up your file. It says here that you've been going to a Pentecostal church for the last 10 years, but before that, you were an anarchist, a drug addict, and a Satanist." I'm sure you can appreciate that raises some significant concerns for us. We don't really approve of Pentecostalism in the Church of England. Satanism, that's not a problem. We all do silly things when we have it. Pentecostalism, well, it's just not British, is it? Not that I would want to suggest that the Church of England is a racist organisation, really. I mean, sexist and homophobic, okay, and I can only apologise on behalf of all of us for that. But it's only very rarely that I've experienced any kind of racial discrimination in the church, because I'm half Indian, in case any of you were wondering. Obviously you weren't. But people often think that I'm Jewish, which isn't a problem for me. I've got lots of Jewish friends, and of course I work for one. But again, it's my name that causes the confusion, I think, because I had a delivery driver turn up at the vicarage in Wye the other day, and there's a sign saying vicarage. I come out wearing this outfit, and he goes, "Yeah, all right, mate, are you Rabbi Holy?" I said, "No, I'm a Muslim." He said, "Well, I knew you were some sort of foreigner." That's what it's like in East Kent, it really is. But you know, a little bit of casual racism from a UKIP voting postman is one thing. A fellow vicar once asked me where I was from, okay, and after we'd been through the whole "Why Where" pantomime, he said, "Where are you from originally?" I went, "Oh right, well originally I'm from Cambridge, because I was in fact born in Mill Road, but that's another story." So my hometown. And he went, "Where are your parents from?" I went, "Oh, I see what you mean, yes, well obviously one of my parents is from a less developed part of the world. She's from Great Yarmouth." I was horrified that, in this day and age, a vicar could be that, which is rude. It's unbelievable, really, isn't it? Although, in fairness to the church, I've heard that particular person isn't actually a vicar anymore. I think he's now the Bishop of Bath and Warwick. But on the whole, I really don't think race is an issue in the church anymore, but class very much still is. And I think the only reason I actually got through the interview in spite of all my dodgy past was I went to the right kind of school, because I am in fact an old Etonian. Yeah, but in my defence, I was there on a bursary, okay, and the other boys used to tease me for not being posh enough. Can you believe that? You probably can't actually believe that. But my house captain, Rupert Harding Titterton, not even making that up, he once said to me, "You're so common, Holy, I bet you even know your neighbours." I didn't even understand. I went, "Well, obviously I do, they live next door to me." He said, we've got so much land, I wouldn't even know where our nearest neighbours are. Well, he does now, because he's currently doing time in Wandsworth. But, you know, I'm genuinely glad I had that experience, because it means I've experienced the whole breadth of life. It means I can relate to people from all across the social spectrum, which is useful in my job generally, and particularly where I live, because Y is a very middle class kind of area. So the last christening I did, as we got to the magic moment, I turned to the mother and I said, "What name do you give this child?" And she said, "His name is Frog." And before I could say anything, a little boy in the front row shouted out, "Frog? What kind of name is that?" And his mum said, "Now don't be rude, Badger. Some people might think your name's a bit silly too. And stop pulling Ocelot's hair." Meanwhile, Ashford, the neighbouring town, completely the other end of the spectrum. So I go into one of the secondary schools there to take assemblies. The first one I did this year, one of the teams comes up to me at the end and says, "Oi, Vicar, if Jesus was the Son of God and that, how come it was so ugly?" I said, "Well, where did you get the idea that Jesus was ugly?" He goes, "Well, that's what you told us at Christmas, isn't it? You said he was born a minga." Anyway, but in terms of mixing with all kinds of different people, comedy really brings you in contact with some interesting people I would never meet in any other context. So, in fact, it was the first time that Vanessa and I met was at a gig in Rochester, and the act who was on immediately after me was a very famous porn star whose name is Ben Dover. I'm sure none of you good people have heard of him. I obviously haven't myself. But I was chatting to him in the bar afterwards. I went out of my way to chat to him because that's what Jesus would have done, right? And he was actually a really nice bloke. And while we were talking, someone came past and said, "This is amazing. You two should do an Edinburgh show together. You could call it The Priest and the Porn Star. Bend over with ravioli." And he said, "I've got a better idea. We should go on that show on BBC Two, Job Swap." "I'll come and take your services for a few weeks. You can do a movie with my missus," who was standing next to him, and she went, "Oh, you'd be my first vicar." I said, "I really don't think my bishop would go for that." But they were very persuasive, so we're actually shooting it next week. Since we're on the subject of sex, I've already apologised for the church's homophobia. And it's not only morally repugnant, it's just unbelievably hypocritical, because actually a very high percentage of Anglican clergy are gay themselves, particularly in London. So when I was based at a church in Clapham, I was the only straight vicar in a 5-mile radius. And when I tried explaining that to someone in my congregation, he said, "Yeah, and we're not sure about you." Which was A, homophobic, and B, showed very poor gaydar. And quite often the most homophobic people actually have the worst gaydar, I've noticed. Have you noticed that? Yeah. So, example, the minister of the Pentecostal church I used to go to was rabidly homophobic, even by Christian standards. And when I told him that I was moving to Ashford, he was going, "Oh, I've got a great mate that lives down there, Father Michael." He's Scottish, did I not mention that? You two should get together, I think you'd get on. And he was absolutely right. I met up with Father Michael, one of the nicest people I've ever met. If you imagine an English version of Graham Norton, but just a little bit camper, this is what he was like. So when I next spoke to Malcolm, I said, you are aware Father Michael's gay, aren't you?" And he said, "Well, I can see where you might say that, but he's definitely not. He's a proper Christian," because, in his mind, a proper Christian can't be gay. And he goes, "Mind you, if you think he's camp, you should see the bloke he lives with." But that's Pentecostals for you. There's none in, are there? Good, we can talk about that. But, in case you've never experienced Pentecostal services for yourself, I want to give you a little bit of a flavour before I go. So the church that I used to go to, that this guy ran in West London, was an absolute madhouse. I mean, we're talking about the happy, clappy, wavy stuff, but a really extreme version of it. So instead of hymns on a Sunday morning, we used to sing classic pop songs, but with the lyrics changed to make them more Christian. Okay? And one of the things we liked to do more than anything else was take a song that had the word baby in it, and that gave us quite a lot of options, and change baby to... Jesus. Exactly. Did you go there? You said you hadn't been. So this was the song that we did most often. It's a song you all know. Are you up for a sing-along? Yeah! Okay, so you've got to join in, well, you can join in whenever you want, certainly when we get to the bridge, and then when it should be I love you baby, we're going to sing I love you Jesus. Okay, so it went like this. The worship leader would come out and say, "You're just too good to be true, Lord. I can't take my eyes off of you, Lord. You feel like heaven to touch," but not in a gay way, obviously. "I want to praise you so much. At long last love has arrived, and I thank you I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you." So here we go with the da-das. Da-da, 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 yeah! I love you, Jesus, and it is quite alright. I love you, Jesus, to warm a lonely night. I love you, Jesus, trust in me when I say. Well, I think I got all of you singing I love you, Jesus, so my work here is done. I've been Pastor Ravi. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless.
Oh, and he's staying with me tonight. Woo! Give us a cheer if you've been converted. And I'm passing the collection pint jar around because I'm collecting money for kids in Kenya.